everyone. You are watching Simply SCAdian, no title required. I'm Zoph, and I am one of the co-hosts who is now going to sneak away and do geek girl stuff while I hand it off to the amazing, awesome, brilliant, funny, cute
Completely oversold.
Lucas. Take it away.
Hey everybody, welcome to Simply SCAdian, no title required. You are watching a very special episode because I'm back. I try to be back as much as possible. I miss you guys when I'm not here. It's like a bad breakup. It's definitely not you, it's me. And I want to be here as much as I possibly can. So, in that spirit, we need guests. I need people. If I'm going to be here, I need people to talk to. So you got to hop on that Facebook page. You got to go to the forum and fill it out. Who are we looking for? Well, we're looking for regular folks of the SCA, as always. I mean, again, I always say it, we love our peers, we love our people who've achieved rank, and they're very valuable to us. But there are lots of people out there who are very knowledgeable and very entertaining. And we would like to see them on the show. So if you're one of those people, or if you know one of those people, please hook us up there. Also, we want people from all over the known world. It is still my goal. I want an international guest. So if you know somebody internationally that you think that we could hook up with and figure out a time to do it, man, we would certainly love to do that. So hop on there. But it's not about our next guest, it's about our current one. All right. So tonight, we would like to welcome to the show. See, and now I'm going to tell you guys something, a little something from the green room. Okay, it's just rattling around in my noodle right now. Okay, I apparently get the
Oh
names
my
wrong a lot.
God. You're such a diva. Just say the bio.
No,
Say the bio.
no.
Do I need to read my bio? Is that a thing?
I think the people are very interested in the dynamic here of how this works. So I get it there, and then I start obsessing, and then I go to read the names, and I just as we were talking about bad language, I'm going to say it. I shit the bed. So so here we go. We're going to welcome tonight Chana Friedl the Maker, and she's been in the SCA for 7 years, but has been tangentially involved for many more than that. She is currently the Chatelaine of the Barony of Bacale, as well as its camp master for Penzig, demo coordinator from the largest demos in the East Kingdom, a medieval gaming booth at PAX Unplugged. And she has a problem with helium hand syndrome. We're going to get into that. She's a weaver and a seamstress and has been doing some form of fiber art when she was old enough to coordinate her fingers. Inside the SCA, Chana is an infant room teacher at daycare. She's also a garb seamstress for the Tatterdemalion. I have a lot of that stuff. And yurt seamstress for Traders of Tamerlane, and works at both of those shops at various Ren fairs throughout the year. She is a protege of Master Meloan and an apprentice of Master Raid ibn al-Zarur. She loves to teach, learn, weave, sing, help newcomers work too hard, and collapse at the end of the day, knowing she's accomplished all she set out to do and possibly more. Chana, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yay.
So Chana, we always start with the same question. It's our tradition here. How did you find the SCA?
So I always say I found the SCA through the social side of things. The owner of Traders of Tamerlane, Gabe, has been in Clan Bluefeather for 22 years. I know this because it's 10 more years than I've been going to Penzig. And that whole friend group that I kind of came into through my ex-husband went to Penzig. They went to Penzig every year, and they talked about Penzig all year long. And they said, no, it's really cool. We play games all day, and then we go party at night, and it's camping, and you wear garb. And I'm like, oh, that kind of sounds cool. Maybe I'll try that. So one year I went for just War Week, which is that group of people would go for setup weekend, drive home Sunday night, work Monday through Friday, drive back for War Week. So that's what I did, because that's what the boys were doing. And I got there and camped with Bluefeather. It was amazing. Papa Caleb, who's in charge of Bluefeather, said, oh, are you going to go to a class? And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, you know that book, like that book you got when you got here? That's all classes you can take. That's all stuff you can learn. oh, that's really cool. And he went, okay, are you going to go to a battle? Like a what? This is called the Penzic War. There's that big field out there. There's fighting there. Like you go watch them beat each other up. I was like, oh no shit, that was awesome. Maybe I'll go to that. So I went to see a battle. It was really cool. I went to the field battle, took a lot of pictures because I do photography inside and outside the SCA as well. And after that, kept going to Penzic. All I did was Penzic. Knew about the SCA, knew it was a thing, knew it was in my area, just kind of, maybe I'll check that out one day. And then when I lived in South Philly, I found out that they had a weekly social for PCAL, which is the Philadelphia and Delaware County, Pennsylvania group. And it was at a school in media, and it was fight practice, music practice, sewing, calligraphy. It was a big gym, and fighters were over here, and there were tables over here, and there were classrooms down the hall for whoever wanted defense that needed extra space. So I eventually got up the courage to go to that and just fell in with Bacales. And as Soph knows, they're an easy group to fall in with. So they're a great group of people, and they've really kind of welcomed me into the family, essentially. And since then, helium hand. I became Chatelaine about a year after I officially joined the SCA and haven't stopped doing that. So it's been really fun. I love it.
Joe, if you want to field this, you want me to go?
Go ahead.
Well, I actually have a question.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think I've been able to ask this question of any guest before, and it was something that I kind of learned when I started doing things for the SCA, and Zoph kind of talked to me about it early on because I had written a letter to one of their majesties, and I had included a lot of stuff about religion in it because I thought that was how you address people. Now I'm noticing now again. I went to synagogue for many years. I have a very odd religious background, and your persona now is your persona based out of your own religion, and how do you find you play that in the SCA when it, to my understanding, religion isn't really supposed to be a forefront?
So I don't have a persona in the same way that a lot of people have a persona. They'll say that, their persona is from 15th century Spain, from this village, and they did the research and they did this. My name, Chana, is the Hebrew version of Anne. My great grandmother's name was Anne. Friedl is the Yiddish name my grandma Frida had because women were not given Hebrew names. And I make things. So that's my persona. I always joke that I'm like vaguely Persian Silk Road ish, to cover all of the varieties of garb that I wear, because that's not important. Like, it's important in that I enjoy doing it and I like the history behind the garb, but I come at it more from a seamstress perspective than a historically location based, I'm going to be from Andalusia in the 1300s. I just really like the clothes. I always joke that I base my persona based on the weather. So in the winter, I'm a Viking because I can put more clothes on. And then in the summer, I'm Persian because I can take more clothes off. Like tie tops and work pants are my entire summer wardrobe, especially at Penzic. In terms of how Judaism, I like portray Judaism, I guess. So I grew up Jewish, Hebrew school every week. I work in a synagogue now, basically just because I love the culture of it. I'm not practicing anymore because that was kind of beaten out of me throughout my entire life. I had a very strict Jewish upbringing, basically. So really, I'll wear Jewish stars as jewelry. I'll follow modesty rules until Penzic because it's hot. I do have tattoos, so that's something that is, not banned in Judaism, by the way. It's not against the rules, but it's not commonly seen in Judaism. But really, I don't use the religion part of it at all. I use it to educate people that, Chana Friedl is a Jewish and a Yiddish name, and this is why. And but that's really it, aside from wearing Stars of David.
Well, I appreciate you answering our question. I didn't
Mhm.
know how, how deep a dive that was going to
Yeah,
be.
some people do. Some people go real deep into it. And
Mhm.
I have a scroll that was made for me by Ismay Delin from Bakail that is in Hebrew. And she knew that my persona was Jewish and decided to do the scroll in Hebrew, which is super cool. Did I request it? Nope. I still think it's pretty cool though. So it kind of just is an added part to me. It's not like how I base my entire persona.
So I want to dive into the chatelaine thing.
Hmm.
First of all, how long have you been chatelaine?
I think it's 6 years. I'm not positive. It might be 5. It's more than it should be.
So yeah, okay. So what do you bring to the role of chatelaine that you think is something we should know?
So when I first joined the SCA, and Meloan tells this story in a slightly different way because he started a newcomer household, kind of because of this situation. When I first joined the SCA, my first big event, aside from Penzic, because Penzic doesn't count to me because I started at Penzic, it was Yule, the Kale's Yule. And it's a big court event. The king and queen often come. It's, an hour and a half, 2 hour court. And I was sitting next to the then chatelaine, um, and everyone was crying. Something happened up on the stage, and there was an award, and someone said a thing, and then everyone was crying. And I looked at her and I went, and she's like, I'll tell you in a minute. And I was like, no one should feel that left out of an emotional situation. No one should feel like they don't know what's going on when something obviously very good was happening. It turned out that it was Mello and getting his writ for Pelican, which
Oh,
is a big thing. But I had no idea. So I'm sitting there going, okay, we're clapping. Oh, we're clapping now. Okay, yay. I don't know what we're clapping for. This is fine. So one of the things that I try to do as chatelaine is take out the jargon. Like I'll let people say the jargon and then I'll say that means this. And do you know what a pelican is? Oh, okay. Let me explain that to you. In the SCA, there are, and I kind of get the newcomer's level of knowledge. I'll sit next to them at court and literally narrate everything that happens if they want me to. I've sat in court and explained every award, every inside joke, what's the toy box, everything that goes on. Because I feel like it's not fair for newcomers to come into this situation and not understand the words that are being said near them. I define everything if people ask me for it. I'm as soon as I meet a newcomer, I tell them, look, literally ask me anything. There is no question I don't want to answer for you. If it's about me, if it's about the barony, if it's about the kingdom, if I know the answer, I'll answer it. If I don't know the answer, I will point you to someone who does. And I feel like we need a little bit more of that. It's not a gatekeeping problem, it's a vocabulary problem. Because I can say that my pelican does this and my um mind fart. My Laurel does this, and I'm a protege, and I'm an apprentice, and blah blah blah. And people will be like, "Cool, those are words." And then I'll just like, right, a pelican is this. His student's a protege. So I just kind of go through it and like break it down as far as necessary for the person to understand it, basically.
gotcha. So you mentioned the toy box. For people not from the East Kingdom, can
It
you
is my
explain
favorite
the
part
toy
of
box?
court. It's
Okay.
my favorite part of court. So there is a literal toy box, a wooden toy chest that people from the kingdom donate toys to. Crocheted dolls, little game boards, anything that a child under the age of like 12 would appreciate. And sometime during court, whenever the youths tend to get restless, the king or queen will look around and say, "Hey, hey Tanaka, can you come here a second?" And then the herald will call Tanaka. I'm using this because this was a really funny example. They'll call Tanaka up. "Hey, what shoes you got on today, Tanaka?" And then the person will know, like, "Oh shit, I'm running." And like they are handed a toy chest, a big wooden toy chest, and they call the children of the East up to the front of court, also known as the Velociraptors of the East, because they will pack hunt to get to this toy chest. So the person is given this toy chest, And the king or queen goes to the children and says, all right, we're going to count to 3, and then turns to the person and says, you got to start running now. And then the person with the toy chest runs out of court, and the children just after him or her or them. It has been, there have been wipeouts. There have been running around the building and back into court and up on the stage. It is my favorite part of court because the kids are so excited. And like during 12th night that just happened, there was one child. She is 2, and the person was called up for the toy chest and faced this 2-year-old and was like, here we go, and just slowly meandered down the path. But there was a kid at the end of the path waiting, and they were like, oh shit, like ran off to the side. They plan it, they pack hunt. One will stay on the side to like veer the gut. It's fantastic. The best pictures in the EK photography Facebook page are from the toy run because it's the person running the chest just with panic on their face.
Yeah, so we do this to each other all the time. So you said 5 or 6 years, and that's longer. For the people who don't know, how long do people normally stay in that position? And I mean, and why have you stayed so long if it's longer?
So the term is 3 years, but there's no limit on how many terms you can run. I think I'm on my 3rd. I think. I forget because time means nothing after COVID, to be completely honest. I honestly don't know. It's on our website somewhere. But I really like doing it. I really like talking to newcomers. I really like helping them at events. I really like navigating them through the vocabulary, through court, through meeting new people, through pairing them up with, oh, you're interested in calligraphy? Here, have you talked to Margarita or Margareta because she's starting up this whole calligraphy thing in Bacale? Or, oh, you're a weaver? Cool, I'm a weaver. What's your experience with it? What do you want to learn? And when I teach my weaving class, I do the same thing. Like, okay, what's our experience level? Who has never touched a loom before? Got it. Who has seen a pattern and says, this is really dumb? Got it. And I just try to base everything. I guess it's the teacher in me. I don't know. I try to base everything off of everyone's personal experience. You're nodding along. I try to base everything off of people's experience level. And with the SCA, maybe someone's gone to Ren Fair and they know vaguely what clothes we wear. And I'll say, okay, cool. So when you're at a Ren Fair, you see a lot of people dressed as pirates, right? We don't dress as pirates. But the fencers sometimes look like pirates, but they're historically based fencers. So it's kind of the same, but not. And then I'll kind of go into it if, based on their response to me.
So, changing tack a little, one of the things you mentioned is the photography, East
Yeah.
Kingdom Photographers page. So, tell us how you got into photographing in general and then photographing in the SCA.
So I've always been a photographer forever since I could hold a camera. My mom gave me her old manual. I took photography class in high school. I've just always loved it. When I was in college, I traveled a lot, so I made sure to take as many pictures as I could. I went to Peru for 2 months. I was an anthropology archaeology major in college, so I went on an archaeological dig in Peru for 2 months and took as many pictures as I could possibly stand. Went to England to study abroad. Went to Israel for 10 days on birthright. I've just always loved doing it. And my favorite, I guess, style of photography is journalism. Just what does the day look like? What does court look like? And my favorite thing to photograph is court because there's a lot of times, people can't hear what's going on or they miss court because their kid was, getting upset or they're a fighter and they were exhausted. So they just went to the diner. And I like standing up by the stage and taking pictures of people's faces when they get their awards and the pictures of the king and queen when they hold the award up. I just really love being able to showcase an entire day, especially because I learned a phrase from Mel Owen at PAX, and he'll hate me for saying this, but he turned to me at PAX once and said, I don't know how to have unstructured fun, and then walked off. And I'm like, yep, personal motto, thanks. So at events, I don't know how to be at an event if I'm not working. And if I'm not working the event, great cameras working. So I just decide to be an event photographer. There's a few of us that do that for a lot of events. We call ourselves the EK Paparazzi, the East Kingdom Paparazzi. And like, we know each other and we do like the nod and we take the pictures of each other, taking pictures of everything else. And it's a lot of fun. So if I'm not in a kitchen or I'm not, event stewarding or whatever, I have my camera with me if I can physically hold it, which sometimes can't happen. Chronic illness, yeah. But I just love, like, I'll get 2,000 pictures in a day, a 1-day event, and delete 1,700 of them, and then post 300 on Facebook.
You mentioned PAX. What's
Yes.
PAX?
PAX is the Penny Arcade Expo. So it was started by two people that write a webcomic called Penny Arcade. It was started 20 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago in Seattle. And it was a video game convention. And they did it for years and years. And then they brought it to PAX East, which was in Boston. And it was a video game convention. They brought it to Texas. They brought it to Australia. They brought it to, that might be it. And then they said, well, we're going to come to Philadelphia, but we're going to do PAX Unplugged. We're not doing video games. We're doing tabletop games in Philadelphia. And I'm like, we play tabletop games in Philadelphia. We are a nonprofit that plays tabletop games in Philadelphia. Can we come play games with you? And they were like, yeah. And they gave us a booth. And I went, oh, shit. I have to do that now. So I made Canvas games, Fox and Geese, Gluckhouse, Allkirks, and Nine Men's Morris. And we just put them on a table. I had no signage. I had paper game boards to give away. So this is a convention that gains about 30,000 people every year. They don't release numbers, but that's like the closest estimate for PAX Unplugged. PAX Prime in Seattle and PAX East, I think, I don't know, like I said, they don't give numbers, but I'm going to guess it's more like 50,000 for those two. But Unplugged is about 30,000 people for the weekend, which is huge. Last year, we got a couple people that, we talked to for hours. They came to the booth and said, oh, what's this? And we explained what the SCA was. And they were like, wait, that exists in real life? Yeah, that's us. Like, we are your people. There was a girl who came up to our booth last year and said, oh, do you guys do make stuff? Like you can make baskets and stuff? I'm like, yeah, why? She goes, well, it's really weird. And I was like, try me. What? She's like, well, I forage for natural materials and then I make baskets out of it. It's like, can you teach a class for us, please? Please, can you come teach us? We want to learn that. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah, no, you don't get it. These are your people. You just haven't met us yet. And even in a convention of 30,000 people, I'm not talking to 30,000 people, but the people that I talk to are either like, oh, cool, I learned about Nine Men's Morris when I played Assassin's Creed. Like, yeah, do you want a game board? Here you go. And just give them a piece of paper, but it has, our email address on it and our website and all that. And then there are those other people that are like, no, but you don't understand. I've been looking for people like this for my entire life. And I'm like, here we are. We're here. So the first year we just did games, like just board games. The second year we just did board games. Last year I had my armor out. I'm a combat archer, so I had my armor out on a stand, so that, and I literally had someone tell me I wasn't going to come to your booth, but I saw something shiny, so I walked that way because 30,000 nerds. So I had my armor out, and someone comes up to me and goes, "That's your armor?" Yep. I'm from Ironbog. You want to fight? My armor's in my car. No. I'm a combat archer, number one. No. Number two, I don't know that we're allowed to do that. This is a convention for board games. And he went, oh, I'll go find out. And he just walks away. I'm like, I don't know you. Cool. So then I get a message from one of my friends on Facebook. Hey, are we fighting at PAX? No. Why? Well, Thanatos said that we could fight at PAX. Hold. We're not there yet. No, we're not fighting at PAX. An hour later, another person. Hey, are we gonna fight at PAX? No. What are you talking about? We're not fighting at PAX. So I spent my entire Friday that week. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday convention. I spent my entire Friday trying to find out if we were allowed to fight at PAX. at like 8 p.m., I got the okay. And we had fighting at PAX the next day. It was nuts. I reconfigured my entire booth so that the fighters had this much space. And they started by doing quarter speed, quarter power. The two fighters that I had, and I had marshals. No one get at me for that. I had marshals. The two fighters that I had were youth combat teachers, so they knew how to demo safely. And they did the first demo, quarter speed, quarter power, and they turned to me and they went, "Can we hit harder?" And I was like, "Yeah, go." And they were like, "Blah, blah, blah." So we ended up having a great demo. People were coming in, standing around the booth. And the cool thing about Unplugged, because it's Philadelphia, we get people from all over the East Kingdom and all over the world coming to PAX. So they found the SCA booth because of the fighting, and they stood in the crowd and were explaining what was going on in the demos. Just people who were attending PAX, that like not here to work at all, were standing around and talking about what was happening. So this year we planned on fighting, and one of the game bloggers that I met last year came back this year multiple times to hang out and was like, "Hey, can I mic you while you narrate the fighting?" So he took a video of the fighting with my comments, which were basically just like, "Yeah, he's just like bashing that dude in the face a lot." Like it was just ridiculous commentary about fighting. And he ended up putting out a video, like a minute-long video on his company page about the SCA at PAX, which was super cool. Not related to gaming at all, but we were there and it was pretty neat. So we do it every year now. I mean, as long as they let us back, we're going to do it.
What time of year is that?
It's in December, the first weekend of December. And it's at the Pennsylvania Convention Center. So it's super easy to get to. It's easy for out-of-state people to get to. I bring my armor to put up on display. Last year, I brought combat archery arrows because the year before, people were asking about it. I always bring arts and sciences stuff. Like I brought my loom this year because I had a project to work on. And I've got people coming over like, "I have no interest in gaming. What are you doing?" "I'm weaving," and just talk to them about weaving. Someone had embroidery last year. Someone brought calligraphy this year. So it's just a way to kind of get us out into a more general public that also is going to be interested in nerd stuff.
So that seems like a good lead in. Let's talk about weaving. You said in the bio that you've been working with some kind of fiber art since you could, be steady with that.
Manipulate them, yeah.
When you started it, was it just like seamstress stuff, making costumes, things for yourself? And then did you kind of find weaving through the SCA, or were you a weaver before you started to do stuff with tatterdemalion and
A
whatnot?
little bit of both. So my mother is a fiber artist. She's ridiculous. She like my rewind. My mother is a stained glass artist full time, but she's also an avid knitter and an avid fiber artist. So I grew up around crafting. I grew up around fiber. I think I sewed my first project when I was like 7, and I wanted to make a hoodie. And my mom was like, "Let's make a pillowcase." And I was like, "Let's not. I don't care. I want this." And I made a hoodie at age 7. My mother, again, is insane. As an example, do you know what a chuppah is? The canopy for a Jewish wedding? My mother knitted one for my brother. It was 10 feet by 10 feet using size 0 yarn, which is this big. It took her a year. This is where I get this from. So I started, like when I was 8 or 9, there's a local museum to where I grew up called the Mercer Museum in Doylestown. If you haven't been there, it's amazing. And they used to have I guess like a folk festival. And there was a woman there who was spinning wool. And I went, "Yeah, Mom, I'm gonna learn that now." I was 9. And my mom started talking to the woman and she was like, "Yeah, I could teach you." So we got a spinning wheel and I learned how to spin wool when I was 9. The spinning wheel still lives in my mother's playroom or craft room, whatever. I started weaving probably when I was 10 or 11, like making scarves and whatnot. I wove my talis, my prayer shawl for my bat mitzvah. I like researched the colors and chose the pattern, and my mother knitted embroidered the neckband on it with my favorite prayer on it. So I've been crafty forever. After that, like just general crafting. I might make a Renaissance fair costume here and there because I've gone to Renaissance fairs since I was in my teens. I started working for Traders of Tamerlane because I was friends with Gabe, and Gabe knew I could sew, and therefore I became a seamstress for Traders of Tamerlane. So I sew yurts on weekends, which is a great hobby to confuse people. Um, and from there, I went to that. So that kind of brought me into the SCA because of Blue Feather and that whole connection that I talked about from the beginning. And in the SCA, I learned about tablet weaving, and I went, "Yup, that's cool." My mother and I have an unofficial, not competition, but like every craft that she does, I do something different. So she can knit, but I crochet, and she can spin, but I can weave what she spins. And like we both kind of dye yarn because it's fun. But I showed her tablet weaving once, and she went, "Yeah, you can keep that one." And I was like, "Yes, one for me." So I started tablet weaving. I started doing plain inkle weaving, which is the up, down, just without the turning of cards. And maybe 3 or 4 bands in, I was like, "Yeah, okay, I got this," and taught myself how to card weave, basically from YouTube videos and Pinterest posts. It's You kind of have to have the mentality of it in order to get into it that way. Since then, I've been able to teach people how to card weave and how to start card weaving in person. It's a lot easier than trying to figure out YouTube. But I've basically just been doing it probably less than a year after I started officially in the SCA.
Nice. Um, so there's 3 questions that I've written down, but I think the one that I want to focus on first is you mentioned chronic illness.
Yeah.
And I don't think we need to know the details. I'm not going to pry you for the information.
Oh, I don't mind. I'm a medical open book. My medical life is weird, so I certainly don't mind.
But how does it affect your life in the SCA having a chronic illness?
So you've seen me at Penzic, so you know quite well what I look like. So I have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which basically means my joints dislocate at will. Um, the the wow words. The cartilage that connects your joints in people with EDS is either malformed or not there or doesn't work like it's supposed to. So I will wake up in the morning and my shoulder will be dislocated, and I'll be like, "Well, that sucks," and I put it in a sling and I go to work because what else are you gonna do? So the days that I'm taking pictures all day long, at the end of the day, all of my knuckles might be dislocated and I can't hold my camera. That's happened at events. I can't walk a lot of the time. My knees will lock up, my hips will lock up. I've had to literally be carried out of events because I couldn't walk. I couldn't put weight on my legs. That is one of a few chronic illnesses that I have. It's the one that affects me the most in the SCA, especially at Penzic. Penzic is really physically hard for me. Aside from just I'm walking miles every day, which my body cannot handle. I'm also the shop manager for Traders of Tamerlane, so that's putting out a lot of little fires, not ones in the yurt because we're safe about our candles. On Midnight Madness, come visit us; it's great. But I'm running back and forth to camp 5 times a day because I have to go to the shop to open. We need rope to tie this down. I have to go back to the shop to drop off something. I have to go teach a class. So it's a lot. It's really a hard process. But the way that I explain it is like, if I didn't get out of bed, I wouldn't get out of bed. If I didn't get up and just do the thing, I would never do anything. I would sit and lock up and just be sad. So I just do it, and it hurts. It's not wise. It's not a smart idea. But in order for me to do what I want to do in the SCA, I have to work through the pain, and there's pain all the time. So I have braces for every joint, like knee braces, elbow braces, slings, I have finger joint braces for when my knuckles dislocate. I used to use kinesio tape. That went bad at Penzic. I found out I am violently allergic to that adhesive at Penzic. That's a great story. So I just kind of do it and then regret my life for the half hour I'm lying in bed before I fall asleep, and then get up and do it all over again. I often have to take recovery days after an event. So like PAX, for example, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it is nonstop. I am on my feet talking to the public. And then Monday, I am incapable of life. Like I am in my bed and don't go to work, and I can barely get up to drink water. Like it's a rough time. But I love being in the SCA and I love doing the things that I do. And like I will weave until I can't feel my fingers. I will go walk around Penzic to show a newcomer Penzic, even if I'm limping. Like it's just what I'm gonna do. I'm told to sit down often. I don't often listen. You know that, so
I
you've
know.
seen it.
Um, go ahead, Lucas. Do you have any questions?
I'm on the chat. I'm trying to get people to
Ask
ask
questions.
me questions that I can ask there. So I mean, again, I'm kind of in awe that you do. I mean, again, for anybody who doesn't know me, I'm having a hip replacement in about a month.
Mhm.
So like just that, the last couple of years between Penzig and a couple other events and whatnot, like I kind of get it, but like at the same time, I mean, I don't think I have as much responsibility as you do. So I mean, like I mean, I do stuff, but at the same time, so yeah, I can't imagine that. But so I mean, again, I want to try to kind of get back to but you teach too.
Yes,
Now obviously you teach in your Barony, but you teach at Penzic as well,
I
and
taught at Penzic this year for the first time. Yeah.
for the first time. So what
Yep.
do you focus on when you teach? What is your primary thing that you like to kind of focus on?
So the class that I taught this past year, I did the same class twice, but it was different both times. I called it Intro to Card Weaving: How to Not Be Afraid of Your Loom. Um, it's intimidating. Looms are intimidating. They look scary. They're not. They're just things that hold strings. But some people have more of an introduction to it. Some people don't. So I always try to focus on whatever my class's level is. So for example, this Penzic, during Peace Week, I had 25 people. It was incredible. I was like, you're all here for me. Like they were there earlier than me. And I was like, are you here from like the previous class? Like, no, we're here for the weaving one. I'm like, okay, like setting up my looms on the table. And a lot of them were like, well, I've done the Hallstatt 5, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, cool, we're not name dropping in my class. This is the pattern that you did. And I held up a picture of it. Because that's not gatekeeping, but vocabulary, people don't know it. And I don't want to not include anyone who's not up with the names of the historically woven bands. And there were a lot of people that like, well, I read this book and it said this. I'm like, cool, I didn't read that book, so I don't do that. Here's what I do and it works for me. I just kind of make it accessible. The second week I had, I think, 9 people, and it was much more of a beginner, like, I'm having trouble putting string on my loom. How do I do that? And I was like, oh, cool, done. And the way that I do this class specifically, I have a disgusting amount of weaving looms. I bring 4 of them in different stages of progress. So I have one in the same pattern. So it's the same actual weaving pattern, 4 different materials, one that isn't all the way warped, one that is warped but not yet started woven, one that is halfway woven, and one that is all the way woven. So if someone says, oh, well, when I'm at the end of a warp, what do I do? And I'll be like, you do this. And I grab the loom and I show them what they can do. For me, it's very helpful to have a physical demonstration, because I can say, oh, well, you group your cards and you do this and you do that. But I can be like, here, you cut the string here and then you do this. And they kind of see it and it's more accessible. For the second week, when they were all relatively new, I did that. I did the class. And then someone actually from the East Kingdom, who I knew tangentially, but had never really interacted with in person, she said, I'd love to like work with you on getting this pattern worked. I really don't understand how to do it. And I said, I'm not doing anything until 4. You want to do it now? And she was like, oh, you would do that? Like, yeah, let's warp a loom. So we sat for 2 hours in the classroom. There weren't any classes after us, and I helped her warp her loom and showed her how to start weaving, and like one-on-one Like, no, this is why we're not doing it this way. If you do it this way, it makes this other thing easier. So I don't know, I like teaching people. So I kind of just base it on what they want to learn. I have people bring their looms or bring, what problems are you having with your pattern? Oh, okay, well, you're looking at this pattern. Did you check this and this and this? Oh, you didn't think to check those things. Okay, when you start weaving, these are the things you should check on a pattern. Then we go back to like how to read a pattern, like very basic things that in the SCA, people might just assume but you don't. Because if someone's never card woven before and they don't have the vocabulary for it, they're not going to know what turning forward and backwards means. They're not going to know what pickup weaving is. Like it's something that you need to talk to someone about, not just read about.
Card weaving is magic.
Card weaving is magic. I do some pretty cool shit with card weaving. Like everyone does the historical, Snare Team 05 is the example I give because it's the historically based. You do it this way. These are the colors you use. Here's the archaeological record. Cool. That's cool. Yep. I wrote a storyboard for the creation myth of the Aztec god of winter, and then I wove it because I wanted to. Like, that's what I do in the SCA.
That's awesome.
I have it with me.
So, but you also spend time at Penzic doing combat archery. How the heck do you even? Now I'm like, it's a miracle that we see you at Penzic in camp.
You rarely see me in camp, to be fair.
I was gonna say I went exactly the same place when you were talking about your illness. I was like, but you were just talking about being a combat archer. Like,
yeah, it's not smart. I'm not gonna say it's a good idea.
See, I'm not gonna use that term. Listen. I know it's hackneyed to say, but I'm like, it's friggin' inspiring. Like that you don't let it manage you. That you're, you know what I mean? Like you said.
Yeah.
Like I just think that that's a great message.
I can't. If I did, I wouldn't do anything. I would be on disability. I would be sitting in my house depressed all the time. Combat archery, I want to be a heavy fighter. I absolutely want to be a two-sword heavy fighter. It is a terrible idea. So like, as a consolation prize, I still get to put the armor on, but then I stand behind everyone smacking each other with swords. So like, less chance of me dislocating something unless I'm dumb. But also I get to be on the battlefield and it's pretty cool. In the East, we have, in the spring and summer, we have something called Southern Army Sundays. So we have regions, there's the Northern, the Central, and the Southern. And Southern Army Sunday is just a chance for all of us to get together as an army and practice for Penzic. And it's one of the very, very few, if not only, combat archery opportunities that we have in the East. We can't shoot anywhere. So this past year, or actually 2 years ago, I guess it started, there was a group of female combat archers that decided to form a household. We're called the Flying Tigers. And it's all female combat archers that wanted to shoot for the East. Plus now we have siege weapons, including males, which is pretty awesome. Sorry, also non-binary people. I'm sorry. So I fight with them. I fight with the Flying Tigers and I wear the Bakali tabard. But I got into it because I knew that I can't hold a shield. I physically cannot do it. And if someone hits the top of the shield, there goes my arm. It's going to dislocate. It is. But I can go hold a bow and I can pull a bow that's pretty light. I aim for shit, but I can just aim at that group of people over there and then I'll hit one and that's cool. I went onto the field one day with my shoulder sublux, which is a partial dislocation. It's not all the way out, but it's like kind of out. You can feel it. That can be gross for non-medical people. I'm sorry. And I knew one of my friends was dating a chiropractor at the time. And I was like, hey, can he fix my shoulder? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. So she brought me over to him. I said, hi, I have EDS. My shoulder is sublux. I know about chiropractic. Please put it back in so I can shoot. And he was like, really? Like, go. I have to be on the battlefield. Can you fix this, please? And he was like, okay. And he like popped it back in. I'm like, cool, thanks. And I like ran off to put my helmet on.
Girl.
Also, I don't sleep. So there's that.
Go ahead, Lucas. It's your turn.
Again, I'm in awe of like, you know, like I complain about the smallest things and now I feel bad about my life.
Don't ever.
So
No, every pain is valid, and no one has the same. No one has the same pain.
yeah,
Don't
no,
ever.
I get that. I get that. I think there are, I was gonna say, I think there are tigers in Setmore, flying
Yeah,
tigers
there
in
are
Setmore.
definitely.
So
Yep, there are flying
yeah,
tigers in Setmore.
'cause that's where I am. So,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, I just there was something again. I've just been listening, so I've been writing anything down, and I've been managing the chat, and no one in the chat is asking questions.
Come
Ask
on,
some questions,
chat.
guys.
You
Come on.
probably all know me. I don't know who's in there because I'm not on Facebook right now.
Wait, I just want to go back to the list for a minute. So let's talk a little bit about so you're apprenticed, you're an apprentice and a protege.
Yes.
How long have you been doing that? And how did you get approached? Did you approach them? You know, what was your
So
process there?
both. I've been a protege longer than I've been an apprentice. The apprentice. So my Laurel is from Atenvelt. I met him at Blue Feather, and he is a Middle Eastern dancer. So you think ballet dancer and you think women ballet dancing. He has studied the male historical ballet dancing, but his Laurel is in calligraphy. And when I tell you this human's calligraphy and illumination is mind blowing, you have no idea. So when I first met him, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be my Laurel. I'm gonna be my Laurel. Hey, right, I'm gonna be my Laurel." And he was like, "No, like, what are you talking about?" I'm like, "No, I weave. Do you want to be my Laurel?" He's like, "No, no." And every year I'd see him, I'd be like, "Could be my Laurel now. Do it now. How about now?" And then one year he was like, "Yeah, okay." And I was like, "What? That? Yes, yeah, okay." So he's like, "Weave a belt." So I wove a belt. And he took me as his student at Penzic that year. That was 2 years ago? Question mark? COVID messed things up. I
No,
think
it
it was
was
2 years.
2 years ago.
Yeah. Thank you, so for being
Yeah.
my brain. My pelican Meloan was the Baron of Bacale, I think, when he asked me to be his protege. But we had been working on the newcomer household stuff because he wanted to have a newcomer household anyway, and I was the chatelaine, so we were just talking about it often. It's called the Black Boot Company. It's not. There's a German name that no one remembers, so it's called the Black Boot Company. And we at social used to be at this school, and then afterwards we'd go to like the pizza place and get appetizers or whatever, or a restaurant if the school was closed for whatever reason. And we were there once, and I had just come back from the bathroom, and Malone goes, "So, protege?" And I was like, "That's a word. Yup, that's a thing that means things. What are we saying?" And he was like, "You protege?" And I was like, "Could you use more words, please? Like, I don't really understand what you're asking me for." And he was like, "Be my protege." And I was like, "Okay, sure." So that was the thing that we did. And the first thing he said was, "You need to weave your own belt because you need to do something for yourself." And I had about 16 other projects lined up. So I was like, "Quick weave something." And I'm like, "Done. Okay, here's my belt." And um, he took me as a student at Southern Region War Camp, question mark number of years ago. And he I asked him, like, in my little uh free fealty speech, to help me learn how to say no to things.
How's that working out for you?
Super great. And I look at him and I'm like, "You're supposed to teach me how to say no." He's like, "Yeah, we're working on it." I'm like, "Are we though? Are we working on it?" But even like recently, he's been more of the, "So when are you going to say no to that thing?" Like, "Oh, I guess that means I have to, huh? I guess that means it's my turn to be done." Okay. I'm like, I'll be better about asking for help. I'm like getting other people to actually do things that I can't do. I'm getting better at asking for help. That's the thing that's happening. Um, so yeah, it's been good. He's been really helpful. So
Nice. All right, believe it or not, we're almost out of time. So last question, which I'm interested in your answer to this question. What can the SCA do better?
I think the SCA can be more open to newcomers in a variety of ways, not just accepting newcomers into the group, not just giving them gold key garb, not just, oh, come to this event with me, we'll hang out, but define the lingo, explain what's happening, show them all aspects of the SCA, not just your aspect of the SCA. Because when people come in and they're like, oh, I've kind of had an interest in calligraphy, the calligraphy people will yoink them immediately and they won't get to see any other aspects of the SCA. One of the things that I really loved about our old social was that it was in a huge room where you could watch the heavy fighters, you could watch the fencers, you could watch the calligraphers, you could listen to the singers. Everything was represented at once. It wasn't like oh, well, you want to go to calligraphy? Okay, well, on Sunday nights, you can go to this person's house. Or, oh, you want to sing? Well, we don't really practice anymore, but here's some sheet music you can look at. That's not welcoming. That's not inviting. That's not, here, I'm going to take you in and show you what this sheet music actually sounds like. It's not, I'm sitting next to you in court and explaining why people are crying right now. It's here's the SCA. We love it. Cool. Why do you love it? What about it do you love? I don't understand what's happening right here. Can you tell me what this is so that I can love it too? And that's kind of one of the things that I try to do with my newcomers, especially. And if they say, like, I had a newcomer that really wanted to learn weaving, and I was like, fantastic, I would love to teach you weaving. What else are you interested in doing? And kept trying to be like, have you heard about this? Have you heard about that? Oh, you want to come to Penzic? Okay, here's Penzic. And like talk to them about, everything they have questions about, not just my thing that I know. Because to be a chatelaine is to not hold their hand, but to show them everything that's possible. You can come into the SCA wanting to do one or two things. Like Melowan always says, he joined the SCA thinking that he would do dancing and fighting, and I forget, there was one other thing. And he ended up holding office and cooking and brewing beer. Like, that's not what if he had only stuck to the things he wanted to do when he joined the SCA, and those were the people that pulled him to their group, he would never have found 3/4 of the things that he found in the SCA. So more opening, more welcoming, more like, hey, have you heard about this? Have you heard about that? Have you met this person? They're really cool and they can tell you cool stories. Like, defining words people don't know. What is a protege? Oh, okay. Well, a protege is a formal student in the art of service. What does that mean? Okay, well, the art of service, and go back as far as the person needs to in order to understand what we're doing here for fun.
Nice. All right.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was really wonderful having you on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun.
All right, we have been talking with Chana Friedl the Maker. That's how you gotta say it. It's like challah bread. It's
Chana, yes. I have yet to have my name pronounced correctly in court.
Well, if I ever was there, I would say it right.
Chana.
I got a 50-50 shot
all over the royalty.
So. All right, thank you, Chana. It's been wonderful having you as our guest.
Thank you.
I've been watching Simply SCAdian, no title required. This is Zoph, joined by Lucas, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Peace out.